The movie begins with Encom founder Kevin Flynn. He tells his son Sam about his adventures in the grid of his computer program, Tron. Kevin tells Sam that he, Clue, and Tron, together with the codified likeness utility, discovered a miracle inside the grid, but he does not talk about that miracle. Kevin takes Sam to bed and goes to work. The next day, newspapers and TV stations broadcast news of Kevin's mysterious disappearance. Sam would not be able to accept Kevin's non-disappearance, which would affect his personality. Now, the future of Encom is also in question. Sam is seen with his motorcycle 20 years later. He enters the Encom building and reaches his destination, avoiding the cameras. Meanwhile, Richard Mackey, the current CEO of Encom, introduces the board to the new OS 12, which is a secure OS. When Alan Bradley, a member of the board, asks about system improvements, Richard says the free provision of software is over with Kevin. When Richard runs the OS 12 master file, there's only one video of the dog playing. Sam smiles as he crosses the boardroom. Bradley tells Richard that the software has been released for free, which angers Richard. Sam tries to escape, but the police arrest him. Sam returns home from the police station, where his dog Marv is waiting for him. Bradley comes to see Sam and tells him that he's convinced that his father has not left him and Encom. He gives him the key to the arcade and leaves. 20 years later, Sam finally goes to Kevin's arcade, where he sees a secret door. When he goes downstairs, he finds his father's secret office. Sam uses his still working PC for research. A huge laser transports it to the grid. Sam comes out of the arcade in the realm of shock, where he is taken away by recognizers. Sam is taken to a place where he is chosen as a gamer. The sirens take off Sam's clothes, arm him, and give him an ID disc. When Sam asks, Jem tells him that he should just try to stay alive. He wins one battle after another, and eventually gets tired and tries to leave the stadium. In the final round, when Sam is bleeding, the game is stopped, and he is asked for his identity. After knowing his identity, Clue sends Sam to the lighted bike race court. Clue challenges Sam. One by one, the racing programmers run out. As Clue makes his final attack on Sam, a light runner enters the arena, tells Sam to get in, and escapes by making a hole in the wall. The light runner's driver, Quora, introduces himself and brings Sam to a distant hilltop residence. Sam encounters his real father again, who is meditating. During the meal, Kevin reveals why he did not return to Sam. He tells him that he was working on the perfect system in the grid with Tron and Clue, appeared from the grid without human input, displaying features he had never seen before. Kevin felt that his bio-digital genetics would change the world, but Clue betrayed and attacked Kevin and Tron. Tron sacrifices himself to save Kevin's life. Kevin was forced to move to Outland. The only way out of the grid, the portal, was to get off. Sam reopens the portal, but Kevin refuses to go. Kevin believes that Clue sent the page to Alan. He explains that Clue expects him to find Kevin and arrange a gateway for him to enter the human world. Quora informs Sam about the municipal program Zeus, which helped ISOs during the purge and may be able to help. Sam enters the town on a light bicycle, hiding his face. The siren recognized him and invited him to the Zeus and Offline Club. Castor takes Sam to meet Zeus. On the other hand, after Sam's disappearance, Kevin goes to town. Clue comes to find Kevin's house. Clue, along with Kevin, recalls the promise to change the world. The thought provokes him. When masked DJs raise their voices, Castor pulls Sam over to the party. While Castor confirms his identity, he is, in fact, Zeus. Meanwhile, Sam encounters Clue's bodyguards, who broke into the club. Quora also arrives to help Sam and loses his left arm during the fight. Kevin gets there and gets things under control. In the elevator, Kevin escapes with Sam and Quora. As soon as the elevator doors close, Zeus grabs Kevin's disc. In an attempt to mess with his saddle project, Kevin stops the elevator before it falls. They chose a solar cell to get there. Clue had a secret Kevin's disc deal with Zeus in exchange for control of the city, but Clue backtracks on his promise, telling his men to drop bombs, and the tower explodes. Kevin reconnects Quora's identification disc, regenerating her arm. He also shows Sam that Quora is ISO. Kevin leaves Quora to reboot and knock in the sky. Cora wakes up and tells Sam that Kevin saved her from the purge. Cora asks more about the real world. Kevin smiles at them both. The solar sealer hits a rectifier, a large carrier ship. The programmers locked in the seller's cargo modules have been discovered by 3 of them. Rinsler then arrives to investigate. Kevin discovers that Rinsler is his old partner, Tron, who has been rearranged by Clue. Cora presents her CD to Sam, runs to find Rinsler, and is caught. When Kevin and Sam break up, Sam goes to rescue Cora and get the disc back, where he scares Jarvis to retrieve Kevin's disc. Rinsler approaches, but Sam retaliates and knocks him out of the tower. To land, Sam and Cora use an arm-shaped parachute. Kevin is waiting for them on a Clue's warship. Sam gives the disc to Kevin. When Clue enters the tower, Rinsler returns in frustration. After killing Jarvis, he jumps off the tower and builds his own light jet. Kevin puts Sam in charge of the light jet bridge. Rinsler flies over the light jet, catching Kevin's eye. The connection allows Rinsler to remember being Tron. Then he cries, "I fight for you!" He hits Clue and dies. Tron sinks into the simulated sea. Its armor circuit turns blue. Kevin asks Cora for help. They meet Clue beyond the trail. Kevin goes towards Clue, claiming that he was merely following orders. Kevin yelled at Sam and Cora to keep running, then left to deal with Clue. Cora shakes Sam, who is anxious to lose his father. Kevin uses reintegration to eliminate Clue's isolation from him. Sam triumphantly inserts his disc inside the gateway. Then Kevin joins Clue. Sam and Cora leave a few seconds before the grid explodes. Sam puts the Tron system on a microchip. He invites Alan inside the store, and Sam tells him that he is taking over Encom again. Cora asked him what they would do next. Sam takes her on his motorcycle to show her something, and shows her the rising sun, which Cora is surprised and happy to see.